What is good, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video, and this one I'm going to break down what's going on with Tesla stock and what you should be watching for going forward. I'm also going to talk about SPY and the QQQ and break down some big news that came out involving Cathie and Tesla. Before I do anything like this, though, let me just mention a couple of things. Firstly, I am not a financial planner. Make sure you take none of this as financial advice. And don't forget about the Moomoo link. The offer ends very soon. If you deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks with the $100 cash reward. The offer ends in just 1 day, so check it out before they run out. With that out of the way, let's get on with the video. Tesla's currently a little bit in the red right now, trading very, very flat. It's not really tanking or anything like that. It's very, very flat, down like 0.12% as of right now, but it's also holding above the 50 EMA. So it's trying to hold up, but at the same time, it's a little bit red. And the reason for that, the reason why Tesla's underperforming compared to the market is because we had some negative news that just came out. The first piece of news is this one right over here. Wall Street investors have come out and they're saying that Tesla is once again overvalued. That's what many of these analysts are saying again. They're saying it's egregiously overvalued in their words. And they're saying that they're going to be downgrading Tesla again. This is what Craig Irwin from Roth Capital Partners Senior Management ended up saying. And that's very important because as time goes on, more and more of these analysts are just continuing to downgrade Tesla and saying that Tesla is overvalued. They also mentioned that it's important to secure profits on Tesla, and they didn't really say that their long-term targets have changed on Tesla. They're still bullish for like the super long term. For the short term, they mentioned that there could be some downside because of how Tesla is not at fair value. They also mentioned that they don't see this being a good place for Tesla to be bought at, and they believe Tesla is likely going to be seeing more volatility and some potential downside, at least for the near term. On top of that, right before Goldman Sachs made the downgrades, Cathie Wood was selling before on Tesla. I made a video about that a couple of days ago, I think like last week. And then after that, Goldman Sachs downgraded Tesla, and the news is talking about that and talking about how this relates to Cathie Wood. And now Cathie Wood has once again sold even more Tesla shares, another $7 million worth of them. Now, that's about 7.3 million in total, and they're relating this to Goldman Sachs. I don't really think this has to do with them, but I just want to account for what these articles are saying anyways. But what's going on? Why is Cathie Wood selling another 28,000 Tesla shares? Is she losing faith in Tesla? What's her point in doing this? And the answer is not necessarily. Cathie Wood is not losing faith in Tesla by doing this. You have to consider that we are at the very end of the quarter, and many of these large fund managers tend to reposition money. There's going to be this big rotation in the markets into the finance sector, in my opinion, especially for lots of those banks like JP Morgan. I see that essentially continuing. So with Cathie Wood essentially doing this, she's not necessarily, losing faith in the company. She is simply, in my opinion, repositioning, maybe securing some profits because it's near the end of the quarter, but it's not necessarily her just getting out of Tesla because of some bad news. Now, could this mean that she knows something about the future of Tesla involving their massive deliveries reports? It doesn't guarantee that, not at all. Tesla's overall expectations are quite high, but there's a high probability Tesla's going to meet expectations, in my opinion, and it could still see very high signs of volatility and even pump after the report comes out. So it's a real possibility. I just want to note that Cathie Wood is not necessarily selling because she hates Tesla. Some people are making it seem that way. Don't fall for what anyone's saying on Twitter. Just look at this objectively. She needs to reposition right now. The market is shifting right now, and this is all part of her way of trying to enter more advantageous plays simultaneously, or even kind of like securing profits before the quarter and just doing things like that. But anyways, for Tesla, what am I seeing right here? Right now, Tesla's still looking pretty okay. It is a little bit red, down about 0.1%. It made an attempt to break this resistance around this 260 area, and Tesla failed to do so, unfortunately. If it broke and held 260, that would have been a bullish target on Tesla. It would have continued to pump quite nicely if it managed to do that, as lots of algos would have started buying a lot more, but it ended up failing to do so. It got this rejection, it tried to get a backtest and just failed, and now Tesla's trying to hold above the 50 EMA on the 1 hour time frame. This is our support right now, this like 254 zone, just around there. That's where Tesla's trying to hold up. If it breaks below this, it has potential to retest 252.5, potentially 250. There's also this imbalance all the way down here around like 249, which is worth noting, which is just under 250. So just pay attention to these levels just to be safe. If Tesla bounces, okay, if Tesla tries to make an attempt to the upside, watch resistance around this 258 zone. So it's like 257.5 to 258, that entire zone right there. If it breaks above that, you're going to be watching 260. 260 is major resistance. It needs to break above that area to turn a lot more bullish. If it does so, we could continue pumping. If not, things could remain a little bit slow. Now, with all the news coming out about Cathie Wood selling, I know this tends to shift sentiment, which will affect Tesla. Can Tesla pump tomorrow? I think there's a good chance it still has a possibility of doing so, but we need confirmation now for it to really break out. We need to see this thing break and hold to 260 by tomorrow. If it does that, we're going to see Tesla pump a lot more. Historically, Tesla tends to pump before big events like deliveries or earnings, so there's a good chance it's going to happen. But for confirmation, watch that 260 area just to be safe. I want to warn you guys about this. Also, don't forget that we have PCE data coming out tomorrow morning. That's going to cause more volatility for the markets. I want everyone to be ready for that and just be prepared just to be safe. However, there's still a good chance Tesla has potential. We just have to see it break a major important level. For SPY, we have a potential inverse head and shoulders structure that has developed a nice accumulation pattern. And we could see that this thing is continuing to hold up after getting a very, very nice pump from this important support right here. Now, I want to note that for now, it's also hovering above the 50 EMA as support. And we are a little bit above it. We are once again looking a little bit weaker on even like the 1 hour time frame, even the smaller time frames. It's very flat right now, not really doing a whole lot. Even if it does come down, we have a nice support here and we do have a lot of potential to push up. If it breaks above 438, if it breaks that, you're going to be watching this unfilled gap. I know it's not showing with the extended hours, but basically it's right here around like 439, I believe. There's this unfilled gap right here, and I think SPY is going to make its way all the way up here if it manages to break 438, the resistance around there. It could happen tomorrow because of the market potentially pumping, but we need confirmation for us to gain more confidence. If it breaks down, you're going to be watching some support around this 436 area. If that fails us, watch the next major support zone, which is going to be closer to about this like 435.5 area now, around where the 50 EMA happens to be. So watch that support on the 1 hour time frame. Let me actually hide the drawings and then bring back the extended hours. So watch these levels carefully. For now, it's very sideways, not really doing a whole lot. But on the 5 minute time frame, right now at the time I'm recording this, it is trying to hold above the 200 EMA. It's kind of squished between the 50 and the 200 right now. So watch these EMAs very carefully, see which direction it breaks in. It still is trying to hold up, but overall, it's not looking the strongest. Uh, on Tesla, starting to drop a little bit more, but it's still holding above its support. Once again, it's very sideways, very choppy for the day, not really doing a whole lot. And overall, the technicals are not looking that strong, especially approaching tomorrow, but things could change if we get a lot of buying pressure, lots of FOMO starts coming in, lots of volume, and if it breaks 260, it could still pump very nicely. Typically, that's what happens during these big events. We're approaching them as we approach deliveries. That's what typically happens. So there's an increased probability of Tesla getting a bounce, but we'll have to wait and see on that just for confirmation. Once again, for the triple Q, let me just add that this thing right now is a little bit down as we're seeing some tech slow down a little bit. Right now, it's testing some very important support. So I have these levels like right here. Support's at about 362.3. Watch that very carefully. If that breaks, we have 361.3, then potentially around 360. Now for resistance, we have 363.5 as resistance, 364.69 around that area. If that breaks, watch 366, then 368, all as resistances. So we're going to be watching these levels very carefully. If we actually hide these levels, we have major support around this like 361 area too. That's where our 200 EMA is, and this is holding above it. So just watch this area very carefully. We want to see the QQQ get above 363 by tomorrow, hopefully. If that happens, it could be led by a lot of tech stocks if tech gets a very, very nice bounce. But I do believe we're going to see a lot of finance sector stocks like JP Morgan get a nice bounce. I'm leaning in that direction for tomorrow and maybe a little bit beyond that. But until then, let's just be very patient. Let's remain calm, cool, and collected. And we're just going to watch these levels and be very, very unbiased when looking at our charts. There is opportunity in Tesla. I'm really hoping we break above 260 tomorrow. Hopefully we do. And if we do, it has a lot of potential to start pushing up as lots of FOMO buyers come in. Just for reference, we have this gap I wanted to talk about. We have this one pre-market gap around this like 266 level. So we're going to be watching that if Tesla manages to break above 260 tomorrow in a very strong manner. So far, it is on an uptrend overall, right? It is still on an uptrend, still holding up. There's a good chance it could happen, but we're going to be very patient anyways. All right, guys, so thank you for listening. Don't forget, PCE comes out tomorrow morning. It's going to affect the markets. It's going to affect the Fed's policies. So just be ready for that. And until then, do what you have to do. Get ready for some big data for Tesla coming out over the next couple of trading days. Sorry, not trading days, the next couple of days as we approach Sunday. And until then, thank you for listening. I'll see you guys in the next one. Tesla to the moon as the long term is still incredibly bright. And peace out.